Hi, Steven. How you guys doing? My name is Adam Parker. I'm from the Chicago suburban area. Yeah, you all probably remember me from earlier.
You're killing those songs.
Well, they had a competition here earlier, and I'm dressed as Kylo Ren, and we were all brought up to perform, and I can't perform for you guys until that last competition. I totally would have won that dance-off. I guarantee it. But my question to you is...
Just real quick, though, I have a question for you.
Yes, Steven.
Suburbs of Chicago.
That's right.
Right. Anytime that I hear that, regardless of the suburb, I can't stop thinking about Adventures in Babysitting.
Well, actually from the city of Naperville, so I don't know if that's got anything to do with it.
How fast your parents drive? The speed limit. We'll do 90.
It's true.
I showed that movie to my daughter when she was 2.5.
Oh, is that right?
Not impressed.
I see.
She's fine. Anyway, go ahead, man.
Oh, it's absolutely. Thank you, Steven. But my question to you is, now, I love the Arrowverse. Ever since Smallville ended, you guys showed up, I'm like, oh, what's this? Oh, man, I love it. You have failed this city. I love it so much. But my question to you is, as actors, what was it that you looked into to play the characters that you played? How much of that was character decisions made by you, made by inspiration, or just you being told what to do by the directors?
The last thing.
Really, that's it?
Yeah, no, actually, straight up, when it came to the pilot, it was directed by David Nutter, and he's the greatest television director that's ever lived.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hang on. Yeah. And we had, Greg Berlanti has turned out to be relatively smart, and our EPs, just in general, I knew what they wanted, and I just wanted to listen to them. And in the early going, I was very much just, the character was supposed to sort of be a little bit more quiet, a little bit more reticent, and that was intimidating to me because I didn't want the character to come across as being wooden. But it really was about just listening to what they wanted, which is fundamentally different than the job that I'm getting ready for now, where just all that I'm doing is thinking about what this character is going to be like. Whereas in March of 2012, it was like, what do you want me to do? That's it.
Okay.
That's pretty amazing to have that kind of trust and faith to be able to hand over, a performance.
Oh, no. I didn't have a choice. They told me what to do.
So becoming Oliver, and thank you, by the way, that was a great question.
Absolutely.
And great dancing.
Oh, thank you.
But in becoming Oliver, what was the process like for you? Was it a phone call, an offer? Was there an audition process? And how long was it and extensive?
Read the script on a Saturday night. I went in and I auditioned on a Tuesday for David Rappaport, who was the casting director. David Nutter was there, who directed the pilot. All of our EPs were there. It was in Greg Berlanti's office. And when I read the script, when I pictured it in my mind's eye, it was remarkably close to what the pilot ended up looking like, which is just lucky. Well, you're never the thing about acting, are there any aspiring actors in here?
Hi.
Okay, cool. I heard a great quote once. You're never right for a part until you're perfect for it.
That is a good quote.
And I just got in there, and I was the first guy to audition, and David looked at me and just goes, could you please go outside for a second? And then he brought like 17 more people into the room, and that was it. Like that was it.
That's an amazing story.
Because I've definitely shit the bed in a bunch of auditions before, right? Like, you never know, part of my language, but it happens. I'm sure you've had auditions where you feel fantastic, and auditions where you're like, oh boy.
Well, you are the perfect Oliver. So,
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
You have not failed us.
Hi.
Hi, Stephen. My name's Oliver. I'm from London. My name's Oliver, by the way. You said he was the perfect Oliver. I felt a little bit offended. was fine. Emily said I wore the suit well. I love you guys. Thank you guys for the past 8 years. It's been amazing. You guys have delivered nothing but excellence on the screen. My question would be kind of, if you could go back to your younger self, what would you tell yourself, or what would be the most important thing you tell yourself in this show and in real life?
Advice for a younger Stephen and Emily?
In the show, so Oliver and yourself as Stephen and Felicity.
That's like 4 questions.
It's like one.
Well, for Emily and Felicity, I'd tell them the same thing. I would just be like, constantly be more present. It's a lifelong journey. I think they can use both of those. And, eat a lot of peanut butter. Felicity's allergic to nuts.
For Oliver and for me, hey man, relax. No, I mean, listen. When you're, I think about this all the time. By the time we got to episode 3 on Arrow, the first day that I met Emily, I'd already worked harder on Arrow than I'd ever worked on anything in my entire life. So when I say, hey man, relax, what I mean is that it was, in the early days, it was all encompassing. And I suspect that I was probably short-tempered every once in a while, never disrespectful, but hindsight being what it is, I wish that I could go back knowing what I know now and apply that to the first couple of years.
Thank you guys.
Thank you. Great question. Hi.
Hi, I'm Anna. I'm from Crown Point, Indiana, and I was wondering, well,
We're from?
Crown Point, Indiana.
Okay.
Yeah. And I might just be speaking for myself, but maybe some other people when I say that I was kind of sad that Lena Luthor never got to interact with Oliver and Felicity, because I feel like they would have been great friends, billionaire and STEM people. Were there any characters that you felt like in crossovers you felt you didn't have like enough scenes with, or like you maybe wanted more scenes with, like people from Legends or Flash or Supergirl?
I wanted Oliver to have an affair with Supergirl.
I also wanted Oliver to have an affair with Supergirl.
I also wanted Felicity to
Have an affair with Supergirl. I also agree.
That's what we really wanted.
As an aside, I'm dead serious.
So I think the answer is Supergirl. Just take it all home.
I felt bad for Melissa because legitimately the first time they worked together, I was like, I don't apologize for this, but I'm totally gonna play it like Oliver is super, super into your character. She's like, can you not? Anyway, she didn't mean it.
Thank you so much. Hi.
My name is Ashley Perry. I'm from Hershey, Illinois, and I just want to ask, what made you choose those socks with those shoes?
I've been admiring the socks. I like them.
Well, you see, the seafoam green in the sock really brings out the sort of.
There's a really simple answer.
curl in his
There's a
face.
very simple answer. I define my style for fashion, if you want to call it that. I never really wear anything different. These pants right here, they're from Kitten Ace, okay? I've got 6 pairs in this color and 6 pairs in navy blue, okay? I've got 3 or 4 different pairs of Vans, okay? And I buy my socks from Stance, as well as my undies. And I just, whatever's up next in the rotation, I go for it, okay? I also recently got introduced to Stance t-shirts, okay? I purchased 17 of them. And I get my sweatshirts, and then I take them on the kitchen table, and I lay them over, and I cut the sleeves off. And that's that. Do you,
Confirmed.
do you feel, does it look bad?
I mean, the colors don't really match, so like it's
Hey! Does it look bad? Okay. Flash your icon right here.
Yes.
You bought that shirt yesterday at the convention.
Here.
Good for you.
They're very cool.
Thank you so much, thank you.
Thank you.
You know what I read? I read that it's a sign of intelligent people that wear the same clothes. Like Barack Obama, he always wore the same suit. He had like 20 of them, so
Yeah.
it's a sign of intelligence. There you go.
Yeah. Steve Jobs and I are exactly alike.
Hi.
Well, we have the same first name, so that's actually where the similarities end. So,
My name is Caitlin. And good, how are you? And I was actually going to ask about the socks, but who do you think is the most huggable character on set? I personally think it's Felicity.
Diggle.
you know that I've never hugged Paul Blackthorne?
That's for you. Yeah. He's a good hugger.
You know who's a tremendous hugger? The most huggable person, I think, is Juliana.
She's such a good hugger.
Sorry, did I say that out loud?
She's a good hugger, though. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'd say Juliana. I'll concur with you.
Well, there you have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi, I'm Michaela Perry from Hersher. Earlier, that was my sister, Ashley, who asked about your socks. And she was the one earlier that hadn't watched Arrow also, that you yelled at. My question, though, is...
What?
She started watching it, though, after you yelled at her, so it worked.
Good.
My question is, who's your favorite co-star to work with on crossovers?
Yeah, nice. Right before you said crossovers, I was like, you better answer.
Oh, Grant. For sure. I really love and I really valued every opportunity that I got to work with Grant. I always felt like, I always felt like when I came out of a scene with Grant or a day of working with him, I always felt like I became a little bit of a better actor, actually. No, selfishly, I want to be better.
Thank you.
Carlos, for me, I'd have to say, he's like beyond.
It's weird that he seems like his style is like, I don't care, but there's also clearly so much work
You
that
have to
goes
prepare
into what he
so
does.
much to look like you don't care.
I got a long way to go.
Hi.
Hi. I love this show. It's amazing. We're only on season 3, so we got some spoilers.
Someone dies at the end, I don't know if you heard.
I actually watched The Flash, and I kind of knew that Laurel died.
What did you say?
I kind of knew that Laurel died.
Okay. Do you have a question?
Yes, my name's Corey. I'm also from Waukesha, Wisconsin. What has been your most memorable, moment while acting during your
Most memorable moment on Arrow. Anything come to mind? Other than the scene in season 1, which...
When we flew across the elevator shaft? When they built us an elevator?
Oh man, in season 1 when they're actually building stuff. They built an entire elevator shaft.
And then there was, okay, so 4 seasons later, Steven had to carry me in an elevator shaft, and the elevator shaft in season 1 was like, we were in, what is it called?
A harness.
We're in a harness. The elevator shaft in season 4 was us on blocks, and him pretending to carry me.
Movie magic.
Why didn't they just do that?
Okay, I'm gonna expound on this story for a second. We did that episode. It was something that they call a bottle episode, which means that you're gonna be in the studio the entire time. And this episode started right after I did American Ninja Warrior.
Oh, this
And-
season later.
And when I did American Ninja Warrior, I destroyed both of my arms. Like, it was really bad. I had something called compartment syndrome, which ultra marathon runners get in their quadriceps and their hamstrings and their calves and stuff like that. And it's when your muscle has so much fascia stuff on it that it can't express toxins. So it just becomes toxic. And it aches. And every single day, we would start with a scene where Emily would just be laying on the ground and I would have to go and pick her up. She's a human being.
That's
And
what
very
they think.
muscular, by the way.
Very fit.
I loved it. I loved every second. It hurt a lot, but I liked it. I remember the most memorable scene ever. For me, have you ever worn a superhero suit? Other than cosplaying?
No.
Well, I have. It's awesome. And the very first time on the pilot, when I get to come out in the aero suit, man, oh man, it's
tight.
it'll never get better.
Yeah, he'll never forget that. It's real tight.
It's all downhill.
Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you guys.
Thank you. Hi.
Hello, I'm Patrick from Wonder Lake, and I was just wondering who's your favorite Survivor contestant, and can they really call it the greatest of the greatest without Richard Hatch?
Isn't he in jail?
Well, not anymore.
No.
Well, shouldn't be able to play.
Russell is the greatest Survivor player of all time. Oh, shut up. I'm right. Boston Rob's a close second.
I know, but there's a thing about
Sandra's pretty good.
Did you see that Rudy just died?
I did.
It was so
did.
sad. I
saw
really
that in
liked
Boston. Yeah, I liked Rudy too. I've actually become pretty good friends.
Would you do it?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, no, of course.
And
Absolutely.
we should play on this.
I'd get voted off first.
Yes, he would, because
But-
I would vote him.
Or win. I'm not sure. I've become pretty good friends with my friend Danielle and her husband Ryan, and she finished second on Survivor. And every once in a while, I mention that I'm a fan of the show, and her husband goes, "But would you be a bigger fan if my wife was a winner?"
Wrong. So wrong.
It's so right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thank
man.
you. Hi.
Hi, my name's Josh. I'm from Chicago, and I just wanted to ask you a question, like trying to be as less spoilery as possible. So I know at the last scene in the crossover that Diggle gets some new bling, and I just wanted to know if like he's gonna come back anytime soon, or if he's gonna come back at all.
I have absolutely no idea. I haven't spoken to anyone that's involved in the production in 5 months.
Oh.
Not on purpose.
Life
Hang on,
ensues.
Aaron, did you cover your ears? I'm dead.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Hi.
Hi, I'm Mehdi from here. And first off, thank you for being such a positive presence on social media, because I know there's a lot of toxicity and you always manage to rise above that. So thank you for that. I'm excited for Heels, like I'm sure everybody else is. Are there people you've worked with over the past 8 years, whether in front of the camera or behind the camera, that you kind of want to take along? And are there people that you're taking along?
I think that from a casting standpoint, I'd like to work with new people, just so that people can have a fresh experience. But there are a lot of people on the crew, and a lot of directors that we had on the show in particular, that I think I would love to work with on the new show if it gets rolling and gets moving. It's a little bit difficult because, especially with crew members, we shot in Vancouver, this shoots in Atlanta. Immigration is a thing right now in this country. Sorry. But actually, it's actually really, really difficult at the moment for someone who's on the crew, who's a focus puller, who's a camera operator, who's sound, who's whatever. It's not as easy as it used to be to bring them along, but there are some people that I would like to bring along. Cool. But I'm sure that we'll get excellent people down in Atlanta. They have excellent crews down there.
Thanks.
Thank you. Emily, we talked about Felicity's legacy sort of being her impact on young women through STEM and that. And Stephen, what do you want Oliver's legacy to be? You can think
Fixing
about
the
it.
entire universe.
That works.
No, I mean, one of the things that people bring up, I just like the fact that the character really did change over the course of 8 years.
Definitely.
Thanks in no small part to the person sitting to my right, but just in general, I like that he went on a journey, and yeah.
It was sort of the perfect culmination at the end. Yeah. Hi.
Hi.